Politics reporter Caitlyn Huey-Burns joins us now. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Okay, here we see Trump revising his position on another issue. How does that impact him?
Well, I think this is something, as you mentioned, that Cruz will certainly use to his advantage. We're heading into primaries in northeastern states. These are not very, conservative-based states, but there are districts within some of these states that this can appeal to some voters. But moving into places like Indiana, Nebraska, maybe later down in May, I think this is something that Cruz can use to kind of galvanize his supporters. So I certainly think, as you mentioned, Cruz is lagging behind in the delegate count. He needs every little bit he can to try and defeat Trump. This is certainly something he'll latch onto.
Caitlyn, in that same Hannity interview, Trump also said he would love to work with former rivals, Dr. Ben Carson and Marco Rubio. We've got some sound of that. Let's listen to that for a second.
You know the 17 guys that began this process with you. Who can you name people that of the 17 and others that you would like to bring in to unite the party? A lot of
Sure. I can tell you that Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, is a terrific guy. He endorsed me, and Chris Christie endorsed me, and he is a fantastic guy. These are two tremendous people. I'd like to have them. Frankly, Marco, I'd love to have involved. I mean, honestly, many of them, almost all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but almost all of them. The party has to unite. If we unite, this party is going to have a huge victory.
Caitlyn, how realistic is that?
Well, some of them are more realistic than others. The Trump campaign has started to acknowledge that they have a deficit to make up in terms of, being more presidential, running a more traditional campaign, appealing to members of the establishment and members of the party, the RNC. We've seen his team down in Florida, RNC meetings, really trying to court people there. So when he's looking at a vice presidential candidate, he's going to have to look at someone who can make up for what he lacks in terms of maybe appeal to certain states, appeal to certain members of the party. Remember, you have this Never Trump movement of people who are pledging never to support Donald Trump. Someone like a Rubio or a Kasich, for example, who have delegates to give at the convention, might be appealing to Trump if he's, slightly behind that magic 1237 number. So there are a variety of different factors. The question is whether these candidates want to be on a ticket with him. That remains to be seen.
Big question there. Let's talk about, you mentioned the RNC. They just met and they decided not to change any of the rules. They're not going to give the delegates more power. What went into that decision, and could it impact Donald Trump as he tries to secure those delegates?
Sure. Well, Donald Trump has gotten a lot of mileage out of his argument that, the rules are rigged against me. The voters don't really have a say. It's all about the delegates. I've been winning all these states. I've been winning lots of votes, and I'm still not considered the nominee just yet. The RNC is arguing, of course, those rules have been in place for a while. All the candidates knew about them. You've fallen asleep behind the wheel when it comes to picking up these delegates. You're looking for an excuse. But they do know that if they were to even propose changes to the rules at this point, that would really set off alarms within not only Donald Trump's base, but within possible constituencies that they'd like to court in future races. So the strategy right now is let's be hands off. Let's let this continue to play out. And let's see if the Trump campaign and these other campaigns can kind of work with us to unite the party.
After this campaign, though, do you think the RNC will come back around and say, changes need to be made here?
Well, the rules will be made before the week before the convention, and we're not sure exactly who the members are going to be on this committee. Of course, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, because they're leading in delegates, they will have people supportive of their respective campaigns on this committee, but we don't yet know what that looks like. And all of the rules that are made have to be approved by the convention floor, by a majority on the convention floor. So there's so much uncertainty coming into this convention, especially around the rules. And in any other year, of course, this wouldn't really matter that much because there's a consensus candidate. But now, this has really shined a spotlight on all of this kind of, the sausage making of the convention.
All right, let's look ahead to Tuesday. Pennsylvania is the big prize for both parties. While campaigning in Williamsport today, Cruz had this to say about the upcoming primary. Take a listen.
This election will be decided by the people. We're campaigning across the state. We're barnstorming the state. We're on a bus tour right now, traveling the state, working to earn the support of the men and women of Pennsylvania. A lot of folks in the media want to paint Pennsylvania as a suburb of Manhattan. I think the people of Pennsylvania have a lot more common sense than the liberal elite Democrats in New York.
So he says that Pennsylvania has more common sense. We see Trump leading in the polls there. What does that say?
Pennsylvania is such a tricky state because most of the delegates are going to be unbound, which means there'll be a lot of wooing and courting behind the scenes. And actually, voters will actually vote on individual delegates on the ballot. So it's kind of a strange race. So Donald Trump could win, but not come away with a lot of those delegates. So Cruz is trying to, target specific areas where he thinks he can do well. A lot of these unbound delegates have said that they would support whoever wins their district. So there's an incentive for Cruz, Trump, even John Kasich to win districts as well as statewide. Cruz is also this week, what changed this week is that he's now mathematically eliminated from clinching the nomination outright. So again, he's looking at areas where he can do well. He doesn't want to cede any ground to Donald Trump. And there are parts of Pennsylvania that he can appeal to.
All right, Caitlyn Huey-Burns, a lot to look forward to as always in this election season. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.